Batman is a character of morals, a character of plans, fail-safes, and methods to maneuver out of impossible situations. A prime example of this would be the Batman who laughs, a character who showed just how much he really preps. If you don't know who the Batman who laughs is, he's basically Batman but with Joker's insanity. Not only did he kill the entire Justice League by himself, but also conquer his entire universe. But this is not a video on the Batman who laughs, as I already have a video on him. This is a video about one specific contingency that really pops out the dark side of Batman. The Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. Zur-En-Arrh is a personality trait of Batman that's far more harsh. But you see, he wasn't always this dark side. What I'm referring to is his first appearance in Batman issue 113. Essentially, Batman went to go fight crime alone because Robin was asleep until he felt doozy in his plane. It's revealed the reasoning behind this dooziness was because he was transported to a planet called Zur-En-Arrh. And then it's revealed the person who transported him was so inspired by Batman that he became Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. He explains how he has a Batcave like him, a Batmobile, but his most important item being the Bat-Radio. Now he explains to Batman the reason he was teleported here is because on this planet, Batman is literally Superman. Yeah, here Batman has invulnerability to bullets, he can fly, he has super strength and all that type of stuff. And that's because when Batman's DNA from Earth is combined on this planet, it makes you a super creature. It doesn't make much sense, but you know, it's comics. Now that we got that out the way, the reason this Batman picked the Superman Batman to be transported is because his world was under attack. And a guy like Super Batman was the best bet to stop the intruder. Eventually the invaders make it to the planet and they just start destroying everything. But they were left in surprise when Superman Batman came to save the day and stop them. And after he finished and was about to leave, Batman Zur-En-Arrh gave him an award. He gave him the Bat-Radio as a trophy and a reminder of one of Batman's strangest adventures. Now like I said, that was the beginning of this character, because in his later appearances, this whole being a different Batman thing is a bit changed. And it all begins in Batman R.I.P. by Grant Morrison. Now this story opens up with the club of villains planning to take over Gotham, and Batman and Robin doing your ordinary crime fighting business. But the thing I want to start with is Bruce's relationship in this story. Essentially, Bruce was trying to uncover this mystery on something called the Black Glove, but his lover named Jezebel Jet seen he was stressed and she tried to convince him to stop being Batman. Now Bruce ignores this and he speculates Black Glove to be a person named Dr. Hurt, somebody who isolated him for 10 days. So Batman goes back to his Bat computer to try and find more information, but what is shown on the screens are the words Zur-En-Arrh. But this time that word has a critical effect on Batman. When Batman hears those words, he starts to lose consciousness and able to move until he's knocked out. Now how does any of this connect to the dark side of Batman? Well, listen up. After Batman was knocked out in the Batcave, the only words that came out of his mouth was Zur-En-Arrh. And while this is all happening, Dr. Hurt, the man who isolated him, came up to him and proceeded to drug Bruce with crystal meth and heroin. And then it's revealed Dr. Hurt is the Black Glove and his plan was to wipe Batman from Bruce's memory. And it worked. Bruce forgot everything. But as we know, Batman is also prepared for everything. And as Batman walks across the street without a memory of a thing, Bruce Wayne takes the mantle of Batman Zur-En-Arrh. And this is really when his dark side gets put out. For one, his only use of weaponry is a bat, and he hits you viciously. Like when he hit this one guy, he hit him so hard the bat broke on his face. I mean, the guy is still a good guy and after criminals, but his morals are just depleted. I mean, he himself describes it as Bruce outside the equation, and this is probably the only time Batman would kill the Joker. Now, I want to go a bit more deeper into the lore of Batman Zur-En-Arrh. Now, you're probably confused on how in his first appearance he was completely different from Batman, but now currently he's Batman's dark personality. So here's the explanation to that. Back in Batman issue 113, when he gave Bruce the Bat-Radio, and then Bruce went back to his normal Earth, he said that event felt like a dream. But then he says, how could it be a dream because he has the Bat-Radio in his hand? Now Bruce says the same exact thing when he's gearing up as Zur-En-Arrh. And once again, he's quote unquote holding the Bat-Radio. But later in the comic, they reveal it wasn't the Bat-Radio and it was just some random cheap radio. Because the Bat-Radio, Planet Zur-En-Arrh, neither of them existed. All of it was an hallucination supported by Professor Miller's gas, which is why Batman's only supporting evidence was actually a cheap radio and not the Bat-Radio. You see, when Batman went to Dr. Hurt's isolation, that information of him having this hallucination was given out to the public, which is when Dr. Hurt got the idea to take advantage of Batman's isolation by making the word Zur-En-Arrh a trigger word to make Bruce forget how to be Batman. But like I said time and time again, Bruce is always prepared. And if anything like this were to happen, happened to him, he would have a subconscious backup identity known as the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. In this identity, his only echo of reason is Batmite. If you don't know who Batmite is, he's basically Batman's biggest fan and is one of the strongest characters in all of DC. But nonetheless, the more I read on this guy Batman, the more impressed I get on his prep time. Like, Zur-En-Arrh is such a secured identity. When we go to Batman Urban Legends issue 7, we begin in the future with Robin as a advanced robot, and Batman this time is Batman 1 million. This Batman is like the ultimate Batman. He's mastered every Batman from across time, and because of that, he can turn into any Batman just by saying the words. So in a being named the Reader who has consumed knowledge from the universe and has wiped some of the greatest minds in the galaxy, and then tries to wipe this Batman's mind, but then fails because he turns into Batman Zur-En-Arrh, which really shows how secure this form is. Now, the last and most recent comic I want to address is Batman issue 125 through 126. Now, throughout this run, Batman has shown a lot of sympathy to Robin. I mean, he himself has pointed out how his family made him softer, made him focus on more things in his life. Now, the reason why that's so important is because now he can't fully resemble this Batman symbol, which is why when a robot named Failsafe came to Gotham and was easily manhandling the whole Bat family, Bruce really needed to step his game up at that point because this robot was no joke. After this, Bruce decided to turn himself into the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, so he can be Batman at his full capacity. And although that story ends there, the run is still ongoing, which will probably give more information on the Batman that goes too far.